Now at 5 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, we hear from two candidates in the race for Victoria County Commissioner. Plus, an overnight road closure for drivers to be aware of in Victoria. And a Texas man could become the first person executed in the U.S. under a murder conviction tied to shaken baby syndrome.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Another sunny and very warm day, but guess what? Things are going to change. That frontal system is a real frontal system that's going to come down and knock the temperature down dramatically. We'll be talking about that coming up in just a few minutes. Stay tuned.
Plus, a man faces capital murder charges and no bond after being accused of killing his pregnant wife. You're watching 25 News Now at 5. Good afternoon and thanks for being with us. I'm Shawna Currie. As Election Day is around the corner, two candidates are fighting for the Victoria County Commissioner spot for Precinct 1. Danny Garcia has held the position for 3 terms or 12 years. Challenger Kenneth Wells is a deputy for the Victoria County Sheriff's Office. He has served as a law enforcement officer for 27 years. Both candidates say they want to serve as the voice for the community of Bloomington and all of Victoria County.
Always being available to be the person that people can come to when they need help.
The other thing is facilitating a healthy relationship with our city council and our school board. Be a better representative for Precinct 1 as a whole. There are several things several projects that I want to be a part of. The community center is a huge factor.
Early voting starts on Monday, October 21st. Early voting takes place at the Dr. Patty Dodson Public Health Center on Navarro. Well, a reminder to drivers that part of Airline Road will close overnight. The section of Airline Road between Main Street and Navarro Street will close at 10 o'clock tonight for a utility tie-in. This is part of the construction of the public safety headquarters. The road will reopen at 3 tomorrow morning. Motorists should drive cautiously and obey all signs and barricades posted in the work zone. Through traffic can avoid delays by seeking alternate routes. Well, today is free admission day at the Calhoun County Fair, and tomorrow Mac's going to be out there joining in on a little bit of the fun. So we wanted to know from our viewers today, which part of the county fair is your favorite? Is it the carnival rides, stock show, auction, the food? Yum. Wonderful food. And it looks like most of you who have voted, over half of you go there for the food, and I don't blame you. They've got some great funnel cakes and turkey legs and all of that. But we want to continue hearing from you. Go to crossroadstoday.com/vote or scan the QR code there on your screen to participate. And we'll have the latest results on 25 News Now at 6. And Mac, looks like some nicer temperatures for those who are heading to the Calhoun County
Yes,
Fair,
we're finally
right?
getting a break from all the very hot weather. It's going to be much more reasonable tomorrow at the fair. And the answer is we're going to go see the kids and their projects, because that's what the county fair is all about. People go, no, I'm going to get on the rides. Well, the rides are fun, but you got to remember the kids work very hard to get their project in there, whether it's a calf or a goat or a shop bench, something like that. We're looking at very quiet weather right now, a little hot, but this frontal system is going to knock the temperature down to about 80 degrees for tomorrow. That sounds good. We'll talk more about it coming up in just a moment. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Mac. Well, this week, Texas plans to execute Robert Roberson. A judge rejected 2 efforts to halt the execution scheduled for Thursday. Roberson was convicted of murdering his 2-year-old daughter more than 2 decades ago, but his attorneys say he's innocent. They also say he would be the first person in the U.S. executed on a shaken baby syndrome-based conviction. The shaken baby syndrome diagnosis is under increasing legal scrutiny. Roberson's advocates contend his daughter died of double pneumonia that progressed to sepsis. They say her illness was made worse by a combination of medicines now seen as unsuitable for children. When Roberson took his daughter to the hospital, doctors and nurses immediately diagnosed her with suspected abuse based on bruises and injuries to her head. A Texas man is accused of killing his wife, a mother of 2, who was 9 weeks pregnant when she was killed. A Houston judge denied bond for the suspect. Micah Hatfield has more.
From the outside, a festive home on Alston Street. A picturesque display of pumpkins and spiderwebs, ready for Halloween. But the horror laid inside the quaint Heights home.
It is alleged that the defendant took the life of his pregnant wife.
Police say 38-year-old Lee Gilley strangled his wife Krista to death last Monday night, but reported it to police as a suicide attempt. Court records show Lee said she overdosed, but later admitted that they had been in a fight earlier that night, and she neither was suicidal nor a drug user. Lee, now charged with capital murder, is listed as the founder of a company called DocMo, a software consulting company. His wife had her doctorate of physical therapy and worked at Memorial Hermann with cardiovascular and pulmonary patients. She was set to speak at the American Physical Therapy Association's conference in February. Her family issuing a statement today saying, quote, Krista was an amazing mother, full of love and excited to welcome her third child. They were taken from this world needlessly and way too early. Going on to say they hope for justice for their daughter and her unborn child. Lee is being held in jail without bond for now. He was arrested and charged Friday. The DA's office has filed to hold him without bond until he's indicted. He'll be back before a judge on Thursday to further discuss his bond.
Incumbent Republican U.S. Senator Ted Cruz and challenger Democrat Colin Allred will debate tonight. Cruz is seeking a third 6-year term, while Allred aims to transition from the House of Representatives to the Senate. You can watch the debate at 7 p.m. on MeTV 22.1 KQZY or 25 Now 25.4. Those are over-the-air channels. If you're on Optimum Cable, MeTV is on channel 142 and 25 Now is channel 133. Election Day is 3 weeks from today, Tuesday, November 5th. In 3 Texas counties, at least 9 U.S. citizens were mistakenly labeled as non-citizens or removed from voter rolls for not responding to letters questioning their citizenship. To read the full Texas Tribune article, visit our website, crossroadstoday.com. Victoria County deputy wrangles a snappy suspect. Corporal Parma found himself face to snout with an unexpected guest, an 8-foot alligator casually shopping at a convenience store in Placido. Inspired by his marathon binge of Gator Boys, seasons 1 through 12, of course, Corporal Parma was feeling like a gator wrangling pro and decided to take on this scaly troublemaker solo. So armed with confidence and probably the theme song from the show playing in his head, he went in for the catch. After some jaws on action, Parma had things mostly under control with a little help from Texas Game Warden Jared Lewis. The gator was safely evicted from its spontaneous shopping trip and taken to a more wildlife-friendly location. Big thanks to Corporal Parma and Game Warden Lewis for making sure this gator didn't get away with any 5-finger discounts. Well, be sure to catch the next episode of Let's Grow Texas Ag to dig into the agriculture impact in the Crossroads. In this episode, Joe Adams heads to Jackson County to talk with Joey Burris and Jerome Razapal. You can catch Let's Grow Texas Ag tomorrow night at 6:30 on our sister station KMOL. It will also air here on KABU at noon on Sunday. And remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. You can hit the like button and click the notification bell and receive alerts when we upload new stories or newscasts or any new videos to our YouTube channel. Stay with us. Straight ahead on 25 News now at 5. Nearly 1/3 of the cameras along the southern U.S. border are not working. Find out why. Also ahead, Kamala Harris sharpens attacks on Trump's capacity for presidency as Election Day is now 3 weeks away. Nearly 1/3 of the surveillance cameras along the southern U.S. border are not working. An internal Border Patrol memo says the large-scale outage affects roughly 150 of the 500 cameras perched on surveillance towers along the border. The memo blames the Federal Aviation Administration for the problem. The FAA services the systems and repairs the cameras, but they have had internal problems meeting the needs of the Border Patrol. The memo says the FAA will send personnel to the southern border to work on the cameras, but Border Patrol leaders are considering replacing the FAA with a contractor that can provide adequate technical support for the cameras. The FAA declined to comment. It is 3 weeks until Election Day, and it's crunch time for the presidential campaigns, who are looking for new ways to sway voters. The two presidential candidates sparring over fitness for office with just a little time to move the needle. Karen Kafa has the latest from Washington.
Vice President Kamala Harris sharpening her attacks on former President Donald Trump's capacity for another term in the White House.
Donald Trump is increasingly unstable and unhinged.
As Democrats grow more fretful about the state of the race, which most national polls see as deadlocked, Harris in the battleground state of Pennsylvania Monday night stepped up the urgency in her message, warning of the extremism of a second Trump term.
He's talking about that he considers anyone who doesn't support him or who will not bend to his will an enemy of our country.
Trump was also in Pennsylvania for a town hall Monday night where he stayed on stage and swayed to music after rapping questions.
Play YMCA. Go ahead. Let's go. Nice and loud.
During the event, Trump took his own aim at Harris's capacity for the job.
Well, we have to beat her. Look, we
do.
have to beat her. She's not for this job. Everybody knows it.
Harris has also chided Trump in recent days for not releasing medical records after releasing a letter from her physician Saturday, tying it to a lack of transparency on Trump's part.
Are they afraid that people will see that he is too weak and unstable?
Trump has responded multiple times on his social media platform Truth Social, including calling on Monday for Harris to take a cognitive test and falsely claiming he's released more medical records than any president in history. Trump last released a letter from his doctor in November 2023, but it did not include the types of medical tests Trump took or the results. In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
U.S. military aid to Israel could be at risk if humanitarian conditions in Gaza don't improve soon. The Biden administration sent a letter to Israel warning that aid could be in jeopardy if changes aren't made within 30 days. The U.S. demands Israel allow at least 350 trucks of aid into Gaza daily and improve security for humanitarian efforts. Israel has started responding, posting photos of aid entering Gaza just a day after receiving the letter. Well, it's not something you probably want to think about, but all of us are surrounded by viruses. In fact, inside the average home, there's a vast biodiversity, and new research has uncovered some little known and never before seen viruses that live on things you probably use every day. But don't panic, researchers say these microbes could save lives.
They're damp and warm and perfect environments for microbes. You may not want to think about the viruses that live on shower heads and toothbrushes, but researchers did it for you.
It's unsurprising that we find them there because we find a bunch of bacteria basically everywhere. But what was surprising is how many different viruses we found and how different they looked from anything that we had ever seen before.
Microbiologist Erica Hartman led a study which found something called bacteriophage all over these two environments. While that sounds bad, she says these are not viruses that make you sick. Instead, they infect bacteria, and these could potentially be used to save lives.
For a long time, we've relied on antibiotics to be able to treat infections and save lives. But right now, antimicrobial resistance is one of the biggest public health challenges that we're facing globally. And so there's a lot of hope that we can leverage things like bacteriophage to help treat these infections that we can no longer treat with antibiotic drugs.
Hartman says the hope is that these phages, or something learned from them, will aid in the development of better drugs or improved biotechnologies.
We need microbes to, in our gut, help us digest our food, on our skin, help us to ward off pathogens. And it's actually a really good thing that we are exposed to microbes from time to time.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Yes, another day, another hot day, another sunshiny day, but by tomorrow, things are going to be a little better. Look at that, 95 is the current temperature. I believe our high temperature day came in at 97. I think that's going to get corrected, but yes, it was warm. Thing is, we're supposed to be in the mid 80s or maybe low 80s. Tomorrow, we'll be barely 80 degrees. That's a good 15-degree drop in the temperature. We'll talk about it coming up in a moment. Well, as excited we are to get somewhat cooler temperatures, first we got to talk about the rainfall. Past July, we had 6 inches of rain. Remember, we were getting those big storms. Then August got a little quiet. September was lower than normal. And since October, we haven't had anything since the month started. So we're we're getting to be behind our seasonal rainfall. And so that's a concern. But right now, the big concern is, okay, how much cooler will it get? Well, there you see how the front is north of us. It's really not cold up there, but it is going to be a couple of days of northerly winds that will actually cool us down. And so, yeah, this front is actually going to be something that you can feel. It'll be in tomorrow morning, maybe before sunrise, but during the day tomorrow, fairly gusty northerly winds, fresh temperatures, low humidities, very delightful, and high temperature 78 to 80 degrees. Not going to complain about that. We do have, of course, our southerly and southwesterly winds right about now, but just north of Dallas, they start turning to the north, and that's what's going to be rolling down to our area by tomorrow morning. You can see how high pressure is situated in the Gulf of Mexico, and that's going to be one of the big reasons why the next 2 storms out there we're not going to worry too much about. Here's right now. Okay, right now, we're in the 90s, right? So is Dallas. Look at that, Oklahoma City in the 70s, and the Midwest, 49 in Chicago. Yeah, this is going to be a good one. We've been waiting for this for a long time. This area down here in the Central America does still have the potential to develop. You can see this big bloom of thunderstorms that pops up and tries to organize but isn't having much luck. That's a lot of stormy weather, but whatever it does, it's going to be drifting across Central America, so not a major concern as far as we are concerned. As we look at the big picture, you can see there's one more storm out in the Atlantic, but then again, once it gets into this area, it's going to turn south of Cuba, I do believe, and roll into the Central America as well. As far as tomorrow is concerned, lovely day. Look at this. Haven't said this since last winter. The high in Port Lavaca tomorrow is going to be 77 degrees. Can I have an applause, please. Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Happy to help out, folks. And even in Cuero, look at that, 78 tomorrow. Abundant sunshine, fresh northerly wind, and finally we get a break out of these brutal temperatures. Tomorrow about 78, 79 here in the city. The winds will shift early in the morning. The next few days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, looking good. This cloud cover, this 20%, is just little bitty sprinkle showers caused by the return of the Gulf moisture. Other than that, we've got some actual fall-looking weather headed into our area. That's your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that and put Crossroads Today on your phone. Shawna, how about that?
All right, I think we can definitely call this one a cool front for sure.
Calling it a not so hot front.
Yes. All right, thanks a lot, Mac. Well, coming up next on 25 News Now at 5, we'll take a look at your stocks. Plus, Americans haven't been this worried about making their minimum credit card payments since April 2020. Wall Street falls from its records as oil prices tumble and tech stocks drop. The Dow is down 325 points. The S&P 500 is down 45 points. The Nasdaq is down 187 points, and oil is down $2.92 to $70.94 per barrel. A new study found Americans have not been this worried about making their minimum credit card payment since the pandemic. The information comes from Federal Reserve Bank of New York. Its September survey showed the average perceived probability of missing a minimum debt payment during the next 3 months was more than 14%. That's the highest reading since April 2020. Outside of the pandemic, it's the highest delinquency expectation reading seen since January 2017, and it's the fourth monthly increase in a row. Boeing is turning to major banks and Wall Street to raise tens of billions of dollars in cash. In a regulatory filing, the company announced plans to borrow $10 billion from numerous banks. It also separately announced plans to raise $25 billion by selling stock and debt. Last week, Boeing's new CEO announced plans to cut 10% of its worldwide staff of 171,000 workers. The moves come as the company contends with massive financial losses from a crippling strike and years of operational and safety problems. Well, stay with us. We'll take one last look at your cooler forecast when we come back. Plus, a giant inflatable pumpkin swallowed an Ohio officer in a hilarious incident. We'll take a look at it. Here's a look at what's coming up on World News Tonight, right after 25 News Now at 5.
Up tonight, Donald Trump and what he suggested today about Vladimir Putin. Making news tonight, Kamala Harris and what she acknowledged just moments ago about the pressure. Ginger Z is here tonight. We're watching the tropics again, 2 separate potential threats. And the Menendez brothers, what's expected to happen tomorrow.
Halloween displays are mostly harmless, but that wasn't the case for one Ohio police officer when a giant inflatable pumpkin was on the loose. Take a look at this dash cam video. It shows the officer responding to the runaway jack-o'-lantern that was blocking the roadway, and then right as he walks up to it, the great pumpkin attacks, swallowing the officer whole. Eventually, backup did arrive and helped get the situation under control. The inflatable was returned to its rightful owner. No officers or pumpkins were injured in the incident.
That pumpkin is larger than most homes. Where did they have it? Was it in the front yard?
I guess in the front yard. It looks like they had some kind of storm roll through there, and you know, just kind of started rolling around. And
always my worst fear that on Halloween night we have a windstorm, because all the decorations are going to be floating all over the place. Yes. Now that we're using so many of these wind-blown things, these balloons. I'm the ones that scare you, like the 10-foot witch. that
Or the
kinda-
skeletons that
yeah,
are-
it looks
yeah.
down over you, and I'm going, whoa, that's pretty
So
impressive.
are we going to see some wind with this front that's coming through?
Actually, yes. Tomorrow, maybe by sunrise and certainly by noon, you're going to be feeling a fairly breezy north wind coming in, and that's what's going to help cool us down, folks. Look at that. High temperature tomorrow, 78, 79 degrees as opposed to 97 that we had today. Oh, you're going to be enjoying that. I don't know that you need a sweater, but it'll be nice to have that cool breeze blowing. It'll be probably in the 20, 25 mile an hour range, not a howling wind, but certainly breezy enough to finally bring us a break in the temperatures. In fact, the rest of the week looks spectacular, very fall-like, appropriate for Halloween.
All right. If you're headed to the Calhoun County Fair, maybe a light jacket
In the evening.
In the evenings,
In the
yeah.
evening. But I'll see you at the county fair tomorrow.
All right. Well, thanks for being with us. Be sure to join us back here for 25 News Now at 6.